So what interested you about Dogpound? You know, one, where did the name come from? We were talking about doggy treats just off camera, but like, where did the name come from, and what was the backstory of getting involved in it?
The name came from, so Kirk Myers, the founder of Dogpound, he was a personal trainer, obviously. His story in himself is incredible of how he got to where he was to then being a personal trainer, but that would be a podcast for you guys. But basically he was training people, and they were meeting at the park every day at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and they would bring their dogs and tie the dogs to the little fences there in New York, and they nicknamed themselves a Dogpound. And then Kirk, I guess, you know, at one point was like, his clientele was growing, and some really interesting people like Hugh Jackman and stuff like that, and people like that, and eventually was like, I want to do my own gym, and you know, the rest is history. I got involved in Dogpound. I got introduced to it by a friend. I was actually in New York hosting the pre-show for the Grammys, and surprisingly I made it to the gym because there was a lot of, you know, parties during that time as well. And a friend just kept saying, you've got to try out this gym. And eventually I went in there and I was mind blown because I got pretty bored of gyms. I don't know about you, but like, especially in Hastings, there was never gyms really growing up. We played football, or, you know, you ran in the park, or, you know, so the gyms for me was always just a tough connect. I'd find myself in a gym, spend an hour there, and I haven't really done anything. And I went to Dogpound and was just blown away, like the energy in there, I guess the aesthetic of the place. It didn't feel like a gym. The trainers were great. They'd have this kind of like mind game way of like being friendly but not friendly, like friendly enough that you thought they were you know, you were just having banter, but secretly you're sweating and burning calories and building muscle, you know. And I just fell in love with it, and I was like, you know, Kirk and I got introduced, and we went for a few dinners, and just became like, you know, friends first, and then was like, you know, we should, you know, do more together, and that's what we did. And then yeah, we opened LA on my birthday. What was that? 2.5 years, 3 years ago this May. So 2.5 years. Right. We just had our second anniversary this last May, and it's been a you know, great adventure. And I think, you know, to answer your question, why I got involved is for that reason. I think the same reason why people train in the gym. It's just got it's like it's got a magical feel when you walk into the place. It's got a real energy and a buzz that you don't walk in being like, oh, I'm in a gym, I've got to work out. You walk in being like, can't wait to work out. You know, it's like you pull up outside a Dogpound, you can't wait to go in. Normally, for me at least, I pull up outside a gym and I'm like, maybe I should just make another call. You know, should I push today's session? You know, so he's built something really special.
Yeah, it's for considering I think there's just 2 locations at the moment. And I was as I was researching, I saw the collaboration with Bowman with the shoes, and like huge luxury fashion brand for those who probably don't know what it is. And so how did kind of like, I guess, a small studio pull off like a big, you know, it's a big deal making shoes for, it's, you know, I understand how difficult it is to put your name on a set of dumbbells, so I can't imagine what had to happen.
We actually did a collaboration during COVID as well with a brand called RTA, which is a fashion apparel brand, not at that level, but you know, very LA brand, done very well all around the world now. We kind of like broke the ice with that, and then fell into this opportunity with the shoes. And really, that's through Olivier, the creative director of Balmain, knew like Kirk had trained some of the models. You know, it's like I guess once you're in the mix, you're in the mix.
Right.
And it was just a conversation that started to like become real, and then suddenly, you know, there's a limited edition shoe. And I think that's the magical thing about Dogpound, is it falls in these places, and you'll be on these calls, and like suddenly like this person's coming into the gym, and you're like, how does this? It doesn't make sense for the best possible reason.
I've never seen it before, like the biggest gym chains and some very cool brands, but that seemed very unique for such a...
And I think that's what we try and do. We try and do unique stuff, and I think that's been a you know, a key conversation around like a lot of our partnerships, and what we do is not taking that quick fix, you know, because there's a lot of money to be made in collaborations, and there's a lot of, you know, in the fast fashion space, you know, they're writing big checks. And we've had a lot come through the door that's like, hey, you know, we'd love to do these, you know, gym shorts, or, you know, gym shirts.
You're doing lasso socks, is that as well, I saw. You got them on.
I've got them on. By the way, that's just coincidence. It's not coincidence. I actually wear these. Even my dad, I've got them wearing every day now. I actually shout at them if they're not wearing them because my dad suffers from arthritis and it's really like helped him with the compression socks. Have
you seen those? Because I suppose there's a lot of work in pulling them together, and in principle, I've sat around the table with people and they're like, well, that's a great idea, but does it achieve what like both brands are looking to achieve from some of those collabs?
Yeah, I mean, it has the socks themselves has genuine ankle support and compression, and there's no downside for anyone with that sock. If you're active and you're walking or you're running or you're traveling, even, I mean, I won't get on a plane without them now because I've never the last couple of years of wearing them, I've never had like the numbness or the pins and needles that you get sometimes traveling. So it's I genuinely swear by them. So it's great. But yeah, going back to the question of the partnerships, I think that's what we've trusted ourselves in, is not taking that $1 million deal to do a bunch of t-shirts with a fast fashion brand, and we've held out for the big ones, because the truth is, in that area, in the collaboration space, and we're doing some really cool stuff with Climate that we've got coming up too, and that's the same thing, is you're only really as good, you can't go from in my opinion, you can't go from doing a collaboration here to then doing a collaboration here. You can do it the other way around,
Yeah.
But you can't, so you're only as good as your last game, really.
And what do you have to put into them to sort of ensure that they do deliver what both parties want, and they don't end up sort of, like you say, putting in a position where you've not got future doors open because you've blown it?
I mean, I think you have to go into it with a mutual kind of understanding of what's expectations. I like to always be, an open book and transparent about, okay, how are we doing this collaboration? What are we looking to do? What are we looking to achieve? Is it revenue based? A lot of collaborations aren't revenue focused. Believe it or not, a lot of collaborations are like, this is awareness focused. This is for the wow factor. We break even and make a little bit of money, but we want to, do that. And then there's a conversation that's like, no, this is revenue focused. Great. Well, then let's have that conversation. How many do we need to? How much of the product do we need to make? How what quality level are we making it at? What's the price point? So they really are. That to me is the way to go into any collaboration, is the expectation. What is this for? Is it for awareness? Is it for revenue? Is it for both? Right. Because it completely changes that mindset around what you want to do. And I think for us, obviously, there's a mutual. The reason Dogpound gets the opportunities that you're talking about is because they built a great awareness. The gym is, to have 2 locations. And if I'm in London wearing my Dogpound cap, someone will be like, "Oh, did you go Dogpound?" And it's crazy that, and that's one of the, obviously I bash social media a lot during this podcast, but that's one of the, the advantages of social media. You can be a brick and mortar gym with 2 locations, but be known all over the world because of social media. That's it. There's not any other reason. We wouldn't be known all over the world without social media. So that's played every part in it.